Hi, good evening, my dear friends, fans, viewers around the world and in Malaysia. How is everyone? It's great to be back. Tonight, 17th of December 2020, is going to be an awesome night as we also grace the much dynamic of an year-end ending of year 2020. Tonight, I've invited a dear friend and a brother to join us as our guest speaker for tonight. And it is my pleasure and honor to have my dear friend and brother here because this brother of ours here, our guest speaker, is a man of vast experience in both the corporate world and also in the area of blue ocean strategy. Brought along this book, and I looked through it. I got to know this speaker, dear brother friend of ours, guest speaker for tonight, since May 2011. 2011. And how time flies. Well, Blue Ocean Strategy. Let's invite our guest speaker, Dr. Raj Kumar.
Hello, everyone. Hi. How's
Good
everyone doing?
evening.
Good. Yeah, good evening. Good evening. Great to
Good
be on the
evening,
show.
Dr. Raj Kumar. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Looking forward to a nice break, Christmas. So yeah, all good. It's been a very interesting year, but
Yeah,
it's also a very I would say a year of reset, right? A year of realignment. So it's good to be here. Yeah. And I understand today is your last show, so for the year,
yes,
and so it's good. Good to be here.
indeed. Um, about a month ago, as my team, technical producer and our producer, Geraldine Chin, we were just looking at month of December, and we envisioned that a lot of people would have put on their thinking hat and already sort of look at what can we do, plan or anticipate in 2021. So I thought of, well, Blue Ocean Strategy came to my mind. And I think our viewers and friends around the world and in Malaysia that would have heard, or if not, if people in organizations, HR as well as C-level, would have encountered or deployed, implemented Blue Ocean Strategy and would have conducted some workshops. And I believe would have invited the team from the regional center headed by Dr. Raj Kumar to facilitate and to really add value in this Blue Ocean Strategy. Raj, I flipped back to the cover of the book, yeah, and there were so wonderful friends that have put words of encouragement, right? I recall then we attended a workshop facilitated by your good self and a few other principal consultants of UCSI Regional Center of Blue Ocean Strategy in Malaysia, representing Southeast Asia. So it really brought back a lot of memories. Yeah, lots of fantastic things, and I believe as a representative of Blue Ocean Strategy myself, that would be, and I would have encountered certain fundamental questions, especially we are in 2020 as this COVID pandemic and drama and saga happen impact globally, and that we heard the word called VUCA, yeah, the volatility of what encompassing people's lives in careers, in families, and of course organizations. So Raj, what would be some of your input? I think as a principal consultant, CEO of Blue Ocean Strategy Regional Center representing Asia Pacific, what would be some of the feedback, yeah, that you have gathered from the sentimental value of people, business owners, C-level, of what this whole 2020 have brought forth? Yeah, and we are coming to an end of the year in the next
Yeah. Right,
doctor.
right. So that's a very good question. In fact, because this year we've been very busy in a way where when the entire pandemic hit, a lot of it was a handbrake, right, for many businesses, and everybody had to really was trying to figure out how to move forward. And
Ah,
that was the time where we found that many companies were trying to reach out and finding ways to think out of the box, right? And to
right.
think of new markets and new areas that they can expand into. So what we did is we walked through many leaders, and we helped them to reimagine the business, to reinvent themselves and to look for new market space, or what we call blue oceans, right? So these are blue oceans, and this is where where we look at creating ways. How can we look at areas that we have not really gone into? So it was quite amazing. It was a time where people need to really change. And what we did was we took them through three different types of thinking mindset. Okay, so the first one was to be a realist. All right, to
Mm,
understand what you really are facing, what is the current situation, where are you
right.
right now, right, and what is the real situation of the company, and to do a stock check. And after that, we have to take them through, beyond that, towards being an optimist. And not just, some people just stay at the realist. Okay, now this is the issue, this is the challenge, but we are not moving to the next part, which is you got to have that optimist mindset where, hey, with what we have, with the strength that we have, with whatever we have, we can actually reinvent ourselves, reimagine the business, and start to look for new blue oceans. And that's the optimistic side of it. Let's go through a few techniques that can help you discover areas or customers that you have not served or underserved. And after
Fantastic.
that, and only that, is the third mindset, which is the third cap that you have to put, which is to be a revivalist. So to garner everyone in your industry, in your company, to revive what's been, broken, or what's been affected because of the pandemic.
Mm,
So this is the
wow.
three different mindsets that we took them through, at least in the last 9 months.
Excellent. I think on behalf of the team, thank you for coming on board. It's such a very timely discussion, and having you on board as a subject matter expert is just fabulous. Yeah, Blue
My
Ocean
pleasure.
strategy reflections, and I think it would be quite a strategic question if I were to put it across Dr. Raj Kumar. Um, Based as a business owner, like now I'm in Allegro Music, a wonderful music academy that provides services and learning to enhance musical and creativity skills. So if I'm a business owner of this lovely academy of Allegro Music, maybe I would have think of, hey, 2020, what actually work for the business, and I would also reflect what actually didn't work for
Yeah.
2020. Would you be able to give us some input?
Yes, yes. So basically, what I've done, like for the show today, is for us to really, as we come to the tail end of the year, and as you mentioned just now, it's a very a VUCA year, right? Volatility, uncertainty, and ambiguity, and also, we have a lot of crisis in the sense. So what I've done is I've put together, 7 strategic questions that we can ask ourselves if you are an entrepreneur, and if you are a business owner, if you are a CEO. These are some questions that can help you. You can take a pen and paper, and you can just ask yourself. So like what you said, the first question is I would ask is, what worked in 2020? So this is the first question. Yes, that's right. You have to ask yourself, what were some of the successful thing that you did, in terms of your product or services. It can be a small tweak, it can be something small, but it's good to know, because just like a gardener, right? When you plant something, if it's growing, even if it's a small little bit, you know that if you nurture it a bit more, it will grow bigger. So same
Yes.
thing in 2020, there would be things where you did maybe out of desperation, or you did it intentionally, or you did it something, you just pivot and just came out with an idea. Your team just came out with an idea. Why don't you do a stock check in terms of understanding what actually worked in 2020? Now, why this is important is because these are signs of life. So you have to take note of signs of life, because you want to nurture it and build it further so that it will grow into something great.
Indeed, indeed. Well, reflecting, this show discover and uncover the
Exactly.
gems, and tonight you're one of the gem. Yeah. So it was given birth right in the midst of CMCO or MCO specifically on the second week of May, because our technical director as well as director founder of Shine at Night Show, Geraldine, we were just looking at what can we do to do things differently. So that's how this show was being given birth. Yeah. So
Yeah.
a lot of people sort of being forced into this new adaptation and the new normal of re-looking at how can we do things differently. Definitely there would be some past best practices, isn't it? I
Yeah.
think as the
Yeah.
business owner or as a CEO, sometimes we tend to have these connotations and perspective that about 5 years ago it worked, but now I'm encountering something brand new. Maybe the fallback is some conventional past practices.
Yeah.
So now Blue Ocean strategy, if I'm aligned as we are licensed facilitator, eliminate, reduce, raise, and create. So if now we are in the end of December, out of the framework of Blue Ocean strategy, Dr. Raj Kumar,
Mhm.
which of the quadrant of the pillars, out of the 4 pillars of Blue Ocean, which should we really focus in?
Well,
Eliminate, use, rise.
basically, I would say all four because as practitioners, we what we encourage, at least my team would be to really reconfigure the business. And in order for you to reconfigure the business, is for you to always look at ways to reduce your cost and increase your value for the customer. So when you eliminate and reduce, this is where you are starting to stop doing certain things, do less, bring down the cost. And when you want to raise and create, that is when you are creating value, new value never been offered, raising more values, factors that really matters in this point of time. So the time
Mhm.
perspective is very important because some things that worked or didn't work maybe 2 years ago can actually work today because of the different landscape, of the different change in technology, the different needs of people, and
Right,
there are definitely different pain points, different fear points that have come
right.
into play. So if we look at it from that four quadrants, and you definitely will need to apply all because it's a balance. It's about reconfiguration.
Yes, it's a balancing act, isn't it?
Yeah.
This week I'm conducting the certification of train the trainers under HRDF, and a few of them have held positions as regional managers for certain multinationals and MNCs based in Singapore. So they're back to Malaysia. They are Malaysian. So we did have these questions that I posted to them, especially on day one on Monday when I first met them. I asked them this question. Now it's December. You are in the certification. So, given a chance, if we rewind, if we are back in January, if we are back in January 2020, not having a slightest idea that COVID will hit everyone left, right, center, how would you do things differently? Tracing back to January. So, Dr. Rajkumar, what would be some of your perspective here? When we look at eliminating and re-looking at new ways of doing things, would that really help to really think back and rewind just to
Yeah.
observe what should be some of the things that we should cross-check ourselves?
Yeah, so this is basically the second question, right? In terms of if we have a time capsule, right, we will go back, we have a time machine, we go back to January 2020, what would
Mhm.
we have done different knowing what we know now? And I
Yeah.
think that is something where, in terms of a blue ocean perspective, is to look at one of the elements, which is the trend. And if we could look at what is the trajectory of this trend, we will start to
Mhm.
see that there is a steady trajectory of trends that is happening. There is a change of behavior. There is a different technology that's being used. There is actually many convergence of industries. There are many different types of alternatives that is now available to every industry basically. So this is the time for you to really look at, you know, how you can start this visioning process for 2021, because you must understand there's a clear trajectory of these trends that is happening. And so by leveraging on that, by looking at what's going to happen at least in terms of next 2-3 years, it will help you shape your 2021 and beyond vision and plans. So I think many people are starting to see that the digital wave, for example, it's really taken everyone by storm. Many people are starting to see data coming into play. Many people are starting to see that the way we view hygiene factors have changed, right? We look at different price points have changed. We look at alternatives have changed. So these are all considerations that you need to do in order for us to reflect in question number 2 for 2021.
Awesome, awesome. So visioning process is a dynamic process that
Yep.
every business owner and C-level board of directors should take on the initiative to really do this visioning process. Later, we will have, it's our honor and pleasure to have our viewers. If you want to know more about how to do this visioning process and you need some support and some assistance from the professionals, we will share with you how to contact Dr. Raj Kumar and his team, yeah, so that they could be able to really add value to this visioning process. And of course, time is catching up. Maybe someone say, Raj, come over to my office on Christmas Eve, 24th December, and do a one-day visioning process. Well,
I'll be there.
maybe, yeah, that could happen. Now, back into one question, yeah.
Mm.
Right, back to one question, and I think for viewers who are around the world, globally as well as in Malaysia, feel free to put in your questions into the chat box, and we will address it. And personally, you can also PM me, and I will bring forth your questions to share and to hear Dr. Raj Kumar's perspective. Now, question number 3: what are some good and bad strategic decisions that business owner ask ourselves? What would be some good or not so good strategic decisions that I would have made? I also run a company and as a CEO. Then, of course, how can we lead? What lead us to make not so good decisions?
Yeah.
As a principal consultant, Dr. Raj, how would you advise us for a
Yeah.
CEO when we reflect?
So this is the third
Please
question
do.
to reflect upon. So the third question to our viewers is, we have to ask ourselves, what are some good and bad strategic decisions that you have made and what led you to them? So the second part of this question is more important. What led you to them? Why did you make that bad
What led?
strategic decision? Yeah, what led you to them? Because, you know, many a times there are certain things that drives us to that certain question, to that certain decision. So main thing is always the ABCs. So the ABCs is, first is the amazing value proposition, B is the business model, C is cash flow. So a lot of people were affected this year on these 3 items. The value proposition needs to be redesigned and make it into an amazing value proposition, because if it's not amazing, it's not awesome, you are not going to be able to capture customers, especially with so many things happening in the world. But if, let's say, you reinvent yourself and you create amazing experience, amazing products, that it's something that is affected this year, right? And business models and cash flow. So many a times we make these bad decisions or even good decisions based off these 3 things. And so I think the third question we have to ask ourselves is, why did we make these decisions? I know for a fact, for example, when I speak to some CEO, a lot of them say that, okay, we had to do this decision, which is not really good, because we were afraid that things were going to get really, really bad. And they quickly maybe lay off too many people, or maybe they quickly cut the muscle where they wanted to cut the fat, but they end up accidentally cut the muscle, which is really the engine of the company. And so this is important for us to reflect, because we learn from our mistakes. We always want to make sure that in 2021 we don't jump the gun, right? But also there are some good decisions that some CEOs have made. because they mobilized the team, they reconfigured the team, they made everyone to do different things, they gave new skills. So these are very good. So if these are good, you must continue to do that. And it's important for us to know, differentiate between good and bad, and take stock and reflect. But I would say, ask ourselves, why did we do that? What led us to those questions,
Yeah,
to this,
what
to
led us.
those decisions? Yeah, yeah,
Dr. Raj Kumar, after so many years being in the faculty of learning, training, facilitating, consulting, you and I sometimes would have met C-level bosses, CEO, and they will ask one question, yeah. If all these strategic ideas and strategic propositions, would that remain as purely academic? If it is purely academic, how could we translate those academic strategies into a practical aspect? Yeah, have you
okay,
got the question?
yeah,
How do we look at all these strategic value proposition from an
yeah,
academic, but can we put it into the practical? So they will ask me, so Dr. Tim,
yeah. Mm.
give me some example in Malaysia that organizations have really look at this value proposition and look at it. Hey, that's something that we have made strategic decisions which is not effective. So let's do something about it. What are some of those industry that we have come across that really impacted as like a case study?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this all these things are definitely practical in that sense. So sometimes we can't draw the line between like what's academic and practical. In fact, the last 9 months, as I mentioned, we've executed and implemented in tremendous ways. And many a times we think that, a theory, when you actually practically implement a theory, this is where you get results. A simple, I like to joke about this. When people wanted to create an aeroplane, wanted to fly in the early years, way before the Wright brothers, what happened was they always look at the bird and they try to develop wings, and they start to jump off the building and try to flap the wings. For years they've been trying to execute and apply and fail. It is only when they discovered the theory of lift, which is the Bernoulli theory, that they understood, actually, if the wind is faster in the below and there's a lift, then only then there can be a lift and fly. And that's when the Wright brothers invented the first plane. So it's always about marrying the two, between the fundamental understanding and the practical ability to actually recreate. So, for example, in this pandemic, the airline industry has been tremendously affected. Correct? Every airline bankrupt, closing down, losing, letting people go. But what if I told you there is one airline that is making 100 million per quarter? Every quarter they're making $100 million, and that is actually Korean Airlines. Because the moment the pandemic hit, they reconfigured the aeroplane. They started looking at micro cargos. They started retraining all their staff to work and to reinvent the entire airlines to be a high-end cargo. And they started rerouting the flights, and they started making. They didn't let go anyone. They didn't have any pay cut, and they actually made 100 million per quarter. So
And
you see, it's actually how we look at it, how we look at the problem. And so I think that's something that we need to look at, and how we can marry a principle, a concept, and straight away use that thinking, and then executing and mobilizing the team. That's why when you're a realist and optimist and the revivalist is where you get your hands dirty and apply it, and practically do it.
yes. Are there any successful cases or organizations in Malaysia that you came across
Yeah,
over this year?
definitely. I mean, there are
Do share
many.
with us.
Yeah, there are many companies that have actually grown in leaps and bounds this year. Of course, some have benefited from, the medical field, but some have actually pivoted themselves and have done tremendously well.
Right.
It depends on which industry we're talking about, right? Many industries. Okay, let's talk about our own industry, UCSI, in the sense where where universities have been stopped, but we have gone hybrid. So we have people dialing in online, we can have face to face, and so we do reverse classroom. We have reinvented ourselves, and the university is still going on. And so
Yeah.
I think that's something where, we practice what we preach and we preach what we practice. That's something that is very important. And
Yeah.
we have other companies like FNN who have just recorded tremendous results, by reinventing themselves. And then we have also, like, for example, SMEs like Christy Ng have done so well, have grown leaps and bounds as well during this time because they reinvented themselves. You even have some malls that are making a strong comeback, like Sunway Malls. And you have, in this pandemic, you had like Park City, a company that is a developer that had people waiting in line to buy their properties. So
Yeah.
there's just so many examples. It's a matter of whether you want to reinvent yourself, whether you want to create our own blue oceans, and mobilize the team.
Yeah. I
And,
caught into one advertisement that certain five-star hotels are willing to outsource their housekeeping team to be engaged, sent to the house of homes, and they have the standard of housekeeping applied from a five-star hotel to the homes, or a
yeah,
chef, a
yeah,
chef that has been a Michelin chef, and now they are giving that kind of innovative value added services that they can come and cook with a professional chef, sous chef, at
yeah,
the convenience of the home. So this is good.
absolutely.
Yeah, good
Yeah,
impact.
even like you see, even I mean, as a church as well, right? You see some churches are also have reinvented themselves. We have created the entire online experience, but at the same time meet in their homes,
Right.
and you don't meet in public. So it's it's amazing to see how they innovate, right? So that's why they
Yeah.
say crisis is like the mother of invention and innovation. No?
Well, that's a fantastic term. Crisis is the mother of
Invention and innovation.
the breed of a new invention.
Yeah.
Now, that's one question. Moving on. What are some new values that we need to introduce in order to pivot the innovative culture? So,
Yeah.
certain people talk about the sexiness of being agile. Some people say, we need to really be really flexible of what we do in implementing certain projects. Of if got emotionally, mentally, say let's stay positive. What do you have to add on to this, Dr. Raj?
Yeah. So question 4 that we have to ask ourselves when we reflect and do this reflection is what new values you need to introduce in order to pivot the culture. So why I put
Right.
this question is because you need to understand that sometimes there are certain inherent culture in the company that that is an impediment and it stops innovation. So I
Mhm.
notice one of the things that people always do, or rather it's stopping them from innovating, is in the sense of not being agile, not being flexible, not being positive. And so everyone said, no, this is how we've been doing it, we don't know how to do it in a new way. I was talking to I was actually so-called doing a session with a law firm, and they always had a lot of these structures and a lot of things where people only know how to do certain things certain way. But then we started exploring and discussing how we can mobilize, and those people who have been underutilized during this pandemic, how they can start
Right.
to do new things based on the skill that they have. But in order to do that, you need to have the agility, you need to have positivity, you need to have the can do. So this question is for leaders to ask ourselves, what new values you need to instill, which currently is needed in the company in order for you to innovate. Because if your current company is very rigid, it's very structured, you got to think of things like agility, flexibility. But if your company is too flexible, maybe you got to look at how you can put some structure in place and how you can organize yourself better. And so there are many new values, right, that has been introduced today. And I think this is something that we have to change the culture, because if you're operating on 2019's culture, your culture is not going to work in 2021.
Not It's not going to work. I
Yeah.
think if we really zoom in into personal lives of enriching personal, individual goals. I think this applies to us as well, isn't it? Not only
Yes,
as the organization unit. So as an
yes,
individual family, as a husband, as a son, as a spouse, I think this sort of innovating culture of, for example, I think people now stay at home, the bonding of cooking together, eat together as a family unit versus
yeah.
before everyone seems to be, well, we have the Friday nights, let's go out. And they just spend the time doing whichever that it seems to be very close, but it's not really that close like now what we have. We are practicing social distancing, but actually it brings the closeness of people, family unit, much greater than we have never imagined. Is that right?
Definitely, definitely. And I think this is what we call value systems. So value systems have changed not just for the company, but also for family. So we start to know that family is important. I mean, you have that realization that health is important, family is important, safety is important, you know, cleanliness is important, you know, in the sense where washing your hands and showering. And I mean, you got to really look at different value systems. But in the sense of a company, you know, we have had one company, they created this boldness as one of the values, right? To for their people to be bold and for them to continuously come up with some new ideas, collaborative, you know, can do. So these are all values that you need to create because the values are the ones who creates a culture. So,
Yes.
so this question talks really about question number 4. It talks about how can you, you know, in 2021, what new values? You know, I know some companies they already have an inherent value, but I would recommend to really think about it because in the next 3 years, maybe you need a new set of value system, right? Maybe you can
Right.
keep some, but maybe you can introduce new, create some new values.
Right. Oh, if I could just quote um Blue Ocean Strategy, one of the CORE, the core fundamentals is that collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. Um, I was invited to be a speaker on one Zoom webinar 2 weeks ago, and the speakers were looking into something, a keyword called sustainability. Yeah. So in
Yep.
the discussion of our webinar that morning is that um, as business owners, as CEO, as directors of companies, moving forward in 2021, we need to think business sustainability. And I think when we look at business sustainability, we got to scale it down to what sort of resources do we need? And what sort of resources will also look into who are the collaborators that will be able to help us work cohesively so that the entire business can sustain, especially in 2021 and beyond. Is that right, Dr. Raj? This
Yes.
is
Yeah.
one
That's right.
that I think it will really add value. Please share with
Yeah.
us certain perspectives
Yeah.
here.
So this is question number 5. You know, because we know that as I mentioned the ABCs, right? Many a
Mhm.
times where we are short of resources. So many people feel that okay, this year we've lacked certain resources. We wish we had certain resources. We wish we had more digital resources, digital capacity or expertise. So resources can be, you know, in a form of expertise, even experience, even in terms of people, even in terms of cash. So there are many things that you need. So I think it's good to write down, list down what are some of the resources you need for 2021. And what's more important is the second part. How can you be resourceful? You know, is if you don't have the resources, how can you partner? How can you collaborate? How can you work with someone and create a win-win? So for example, let's say now I'm good at academics, or if I'm good, we are an institution, but let's say we have another company out there who wants to create a form of training, but at the same time they have very good maybe digital presence, so they have digital capacity. So what we can do is collaborate and we have a win-win. So they will help us in their expertise, we will help them in our expertise, and we both create a blue ocean product or a blue ocean experience. So it's very important to be collaborative. It's very important to, you know, to look at what you have, your strengths and look at another person's strength and come together and work out different experiences. And you don't have to look within your industry, you can look outside of the industry. It doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily have to be, oh, if I'm a cinema, I only have to collaborate with another cinema. No, you can always create with another a company, another experience, maybe an outdoor experience, another virtual experience. You can create so many things and create an entire new experience, value proposition for your customer. So the question
Right.
is, what is the end objective of the customer? If you understand the end objective of the customer, you can work with many parties that are offering different attributes, and you can collaborate and create a win-win, because
Indeed.
the ocean is big enough for everyone.
Yes. Um, Up to date, including Dr. Raj Kumar, tonight we would have about nearly 20 speakers since we started the show on Thursday nights, and then we move on to alternate Thursday. So, and I really hold this as a fundamental collaboration principle. Why we have invited speakers, because 2021 and beyond, we really want to collaborate. Yeah, like Dr. Raj, I look forward to add value and collaborate of my entity and my team together with your team and your institution. I think that that will really enhance and elevate this, not just by lip service of this word collaboration, but we really work together to achieve that. Yeah, through actions. Yeah, through action. So
Yep.
I look forward
Yeah.
to definitely catch up with coffee and see what we can really zoom in for next year. Now,
Yeah.
question
I
number
always
six.
say, I always say on that note, collaboration with action is collabo action. So
Labor.
it's collabo action, right? So there's a collaboration, but there's action items to do, and that's a good collaboration.
Yes, indeed, indeed. Now, moving on to the next question. Now, a big word is called uncertainty or certainty. There is a phrase that say, in life, everything that remains constant is change. So, as in 2 weeks' time, we are going to say goodbye to year 2020. How would that some of this certainty that you would be able to reassure, encourage our audience and our viewers for joining us in this show right now?
Yeah. So question number 5 is, what can you do to create certainty for 2021? So why I picked this question is because that, many a times that in 2020 we have a lot of uh, issues and we have a lot of uncertainty that was happening. So it's time to create some form of certainty and structure for 2021. So that will help with performance, because a lot of people, you need to make them feel that there is some form of certainty, like, okay, let's create a plan, a roadmap, and this is what we're going to do. Because I know that 2020 happened so suddenly, and there was so many uncertainty, there was a lot of fear. But as
Right.
leaders, as CEOs, we need to create environment of certainty and an environment of confidence, so that people will feel that, okay, I know what the company is going to do for 2021. I know that we're going to do all it takes to be profitable. I know we're going to pivot. I know we're going to create new products. I know we're going to get everyone, and I know everyone's going to be flexible. And so that's what we want to do, because I know there's a lot of rumors out there that 2021 will be worse, or maybe it'll be better. So either way, it's important to create certainty and highlight those certainty and what does certainty means to the people. So this is where we need to reduce the volatility and uncertainty. So creating certainty and creating less ambiguity. I think that's something that's very important.
Excellent, excellent. Just about a month ago, a dear friend of mine who is also a business investor, that they have been
Mm-hmm.
investing in different countries of multiple businesses, and these parties sort of encouraged me through a message and say, Tim, for 2021, please remember to dream big. Don't forget, and your dreams must be even bigger. And that comes into a dimensions where if everyone were to think that manner, continue to dream big, Do not get into the wallow on the COVID of 2020, but dream even bigger dreams. So if everyone were to do that, I think that assurance of 2021 will be an awesome dynamic year, would be materialized, isn't it? Yeah. Would
Yes.
that be one congruence that we will want to achieve, Doctor?
Yes, definitely. Because I mean, just going back to that earlier point, that there's a lot of complexity and uncertainty. So if we can simplify and say, okay, guys, for this year we are going to have three goals and three objectives, and we're going to make sure we achieve them. So we
Right.
simplify it and not complicate things, because things are already very complicated as they are in the market. And so that brings us, I guess, to the last question, right? The seventh question,
Yeah.
which is, what is your fresh vision for 2021? Because I remember writing about this, and I got a lot of feedback from this, and people were saying that, hey, I needed to hear this, because a lot of them, they've sort of got lost in the washing machine of 2020, and they find that it's time for you to come out. If you come out of the washing machine, you're fresh. So you have a fresh vision for 2021, and you must start dreaming again, because this is very important, because you need to set the goals, get your team, bring them away. I don't, if can, if social distancing is possible, but take them, or find a way where you can just take the team to have a dream session, to have a vision session, and to think about, hey, look at what we have done. We have done what worked in 2020, and what we could have done different, and what are some good and bad decisions we made. How can we pivot the culture? What resources we need? How can we create certainty? What kind of new vision, new product, new service we need to create for 2021? And I find that, in the last 1 week, I've been meeting people. I've just been meeting people, just seeking for sources of inspiration and insight. And sometimes the
Right.
more people that you talk to, the more your mentors, or your people that you look up to. And sometimes, inspiration can come from a lot of places. Can come from a good book, can come
Right.
from can come from a person, can come from a movie. It can come from many things. And so sometimes, when we see this, if we think things are bad, it could always be worse. So it's good to always look at it from a bright side, and think about vision, and fresh vision, and write it down. I noticed that many people don't document this, so you need to write it down. And if we are leaders like us, we need to also take this last 2 weeks of the year to maybe just rest, and just recharge, and realign our thoughts, and just to unclutter the thinking, and create and start dreaming again, and start creating a fresh vision for ourselves.
Excellent advice, Dr. Raj Kumar. Excellent. Yeah. Take the time to reflect and dream, yeah, and vision of what 2021 will unfold, of what we want to attract, of what we want to materialize. Hey, Raj, you look a little bit much more even handsome, yeah, than I first got to know you in 2011.
Wow, it's been
Our
9 years, huh? Thank you.
workshop conducted by you and other regional consultant on Blue Ocean workshop.
Wow,
So
time flies.
seems to get old, yeah, Raj. You don't seem to
Wow,
get
thank
old.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Um, Now, mind if I ask, what would be your age, Dr. Raj Kumar? Because we talk about dreams, we talk about envy.
Wow.
Right, yeah.
uh, I will put it in the private chat.
Right. I think, but you and I are more or less in the same quadrant of our age. Yeah.
Probably.
So in the same quadrant, Raj, share with us a bit about yourself. How did you come into this area of this dynamic consultancy and being the CEO of what you do now, heading the Blue Ocean Regional Center? Share with us about yourself.
Sure, sure. I mean, I think I've been with the UCSI Consulting Group and UCSI Blue Ocean Strategy Consulting for the last 12
Right.
years. And
Mm-hmm.
I came into consulting because I've always been passionate about strategy and innovation. And prior
Mm-hmm.
to coming and being one of the founding consultants to set this center up, is I was very involved in strategy and planning in companies. You know, I was in education, in manufacturing, in a few industries, but I always wanted to have a breadth of experience working with different industries, different companies, and so I wanted to make a leap into consulting, and so that's when I did, and you know, I worked with Dr. Peter and a team to set up the practice, and we've set a practice, and we've done work in 25 countries. We have done in almost all industries, you name it, and now so it's been doing we've been doing a lot of labs, workshops, consulting projects as far as US, Middle East, you know, China, and it's been exciting, and we've been traveling a lot, and the last year is well, I've been the CEO for at least 5 years already, since
Mm-hmm.
2015. And prior to that, I was doing a lot of the projects, consulting projects. But in the last 5 years as a CEO, I've been guiding the company, growing the company, leading the company, and you know, growing people, growing the different areas of the business. We have moved from beyond just consulting and training. We've gone into mobile learning, micro learning. We've gone into um, different technology solutions, and we've also gone into different areas. We want to help clients to future proof themselves and their talents to be future ready. That's our vision, and so
Right.
that's been very exciting. And now with COVID, that has accelerated every company to future proof themselves, and so we are looking forward, you know, for the next couple of years. And I love what I do because it's a different thing altogether. Every year is exciting, every year is different, every company is different, every industry is different, and so I find my purpose in helping people find theirs. And so if they are successful, we are successful. So our clients is our their results, and turning around is our barometer in terms of how we are rated in terms of success. So if they are successful, then we are definitely successful. So yeah, so that's a bit about me and how I've got into Blue Ocean. So Blue Ocean strategy is something that I've always been passionate about for the last 12 years, and I've seen it work over and over again. I've been trained by Professor Chan Kim and the team, and Renee and so on. And so but apart from the training is the practice, right? So we got to really develop that in terms of people already applying it and putting into action. And we have pivoted it, we have changed it a little bit, we have made it more also relevant to current today, and with the pandemic and post-pandemic and so on. So yeah, so with that, you know, I mean, it's exciting. I think there are more blue oceans that will be created even as we speak in the next year or so. Things are
Indeed.
changing even after the vaccine coming in, but life will definitely be different, right? And life will be more will take a leap forward, and people will be more susceptible to change and
Yeah.
susceptible to technology. I mean, the world has been more digital today than it ever has been, so that's exciting.
Indeed. I sort of want to say a word of encouragement, Dr. Raj Kumar, for your input and sharing of perspective. You mentioned something which is um, the like-mindedness of people that share the visioning and the dreams. I think I personally worked with your team before, and of course your stakeholders, and having the like-mindedness of a leader like Dr. Peter is always a crucial pillar, isn't it? Yeah, one
Yeah.
one of the point of tipping point leadership. And that's where the like-mindedness of a leader to really mold and encourage each other as a bouncing board, yeah, as the bouncing board looks into what can we do bigger, what can we envision greater, let's do it, guys. And that's really get everyone, yeah, charge up to have this envisioning and materializing. Yes, it's tough, it could be very challenging, but it's the team, isn't it? Yeah. So I know you have a fantastic, awesome team, and of course your stakeholders are one group of innovative business owners, as well as well-learned people as industry practitioners. So well done. Yeah, I'm really happy to see that the university, the institution, as well as the regional office of Blue Ocean have grown leaps and bounds. Sometimes I do drive past the institution or your office, and I always recap, wow, this has grown. And usually if I drive down to Port Dickson and I see on the left hand side of the highway, wow, again, yeah, from really a bare land, it's what we see with schools and international schools and hospitals, hostels. So definitely, with respect, you are the industry practitioner of Blue Ocean strategy, and I'm really happy with myself and the team. We are very happy that we are part of your circle of family in this Blue Ocean strategy. Thank you for really enrolling.
Thank you.
Thank you for thinking of Tim. Sometimes I know you think of Tim. Would you be able want to take up this project? And that's good encouragement, brother. Yeah, I really look forward that we will have really a good synergization moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, time is catching up. So Dr. Raj, thank you very much for being our guest speaker for tonight.
My pleasure.
Indeed, this is a mark of a historical mark, as today, 17th December, is one of our last final Facebook live talk show for 2020. We will appear again. Our show will kickstart again. Estimated from the discussion with my team is March 2021. Yeah, so we'll take a 2 month break and we will practice and apply what Dr. Raj has envision. We reflect and then we plan forward. Yeah. Oh yes. Thank you to our technical director. Now, fans, viewers around the world and in the Malaysia and beyond the borders. If you want to contact Dr. Raj Kumar, at the bottom of the screen, that's the email of Dr. Raj Kumar. Yeah, so very quickly, take a screenshot. If not, take a pen and jot it down. Feel free to contact to Dr. Raj Kumar if you need any assistance or any sharing of perspective. In case you can't get Dr. Raj, always you can come direct to me. Just give me a PM message or call me and say, Dr. Tin, connect me to Dr. Raj Kumar, and it's my pleasure. Right? So, Dr. Raj Kumar, awesome.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best. Merry Christmas, and yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Some of your to our viewers and to your friends within your network. Yeah. As we are coming to the end.
Doctor. Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Tim, and I just want to wish all your viewers, I pray that you will have a wonderful breakthrough in 2021, and may you be bigger, better, and more Blue Ocean. So happy holidays and Merry Christmas.
Excellent. So Merry Christmas, happy holidays, have a great time, but stay safe and take care of yourself. Merry Christmas. See you
Good
in
night,
20.
everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Happy New Year. Good night. Bye.